λόγο έχει, and I apologize for the name because it's impossible for me to. Ο κύριος Wojciech Wciseł, υποθέτω. Wcisel. Sorry. Λοιπόν, μας έρχεται από την Πολωνία, από το Καθολικό Πανεπιστήμιο του Λούμπλιν Ιωάννη Παύλου του Δεύτερου. Έχει την έδρα Θεωρίας και Εφαρμογών, είναι επίκουρος καθηγητής στο τμήμα Γλώσσας, Μέσων και Επικοινωνίας, αλλά και στο Ινστιτούτο Δημοσιογραφίας και Κοινωνικής Επικοινωνίας. Ο λόγος σε εσάς. Oh, 10 minutes. 15 minutes.
I try.
Please, thank you.
Okay. It is an honor and a privilege for me to be here and take part in this conference. Thank you for the invitation and this chance to talk about the role of charity organization in building a strong Europe, especially in the context of solidarity with refugees. I prepared this presentation together with my wife, Kinga, but as you can see, our daughter Mary want to let me here present, so I will go through the presentation. We both represent two Lublin's non-governmental organizations. One of the first in Poland that started working for the integration of refugees through the work of volunteers. At first, I would like to introduce this organization, our organization. Our motto is the horizon of solidarity knows no boundaries. We cross not only boundaries of countries and continents, but also mental boundaries, political boundaries, and these are much more difficult to cross. They are rooted deep inside of each of us. In order to help in the effective way, we need to go beyond the limits of reasons or lack of sensitivity. Only then we can see the other person in need. Europe's need and demand for real values is stronger today than ever before. Especially, Europe needs solidarity, because tolerance and acceptance is not enough. What needs to be awakened is a global type of solidarity here in Athens, here in Brussels, Berlin, Budapest, Warsaw, but also in the city of Lublin, where we come from. Lublin is a city in the southeast of Poland, in the region close the border with Ukraine, with 350,000 citizens and 80,000 students. 10% of this group constitute foreign students. It is important as they are often the driving wheel behind of activity. Let me briefly describe the organization. That Global Solidarity Association was established in Lublin in 2007. Its main goal is to help those in need through missionary, developmental, educational, and humanitarian work, as well as activity severing human dignity, beginning from conceptual until death. This organization, Global Solidarity Association, realized projects in Cuba, Georgia, Kenya, and carried out some activities to support the victims of the flood in Syria, and as well as some activities in Ukraine. The Volunteer Center in Lublin was established in 1999. Since this almost 20,000 volunteers in the center. The activity of the organization is oriented around voluntary work, and its major goals in the coordinated promote volunteers work and to inspire local communities to voluntary action. There are voluntary programs organized within the volunteer center where volunteers help the sick, the homeless, prisoners, poor children, orphans, refugees, and foreigners. At great importance are also volunteers projects importing intercultural integration. To example, on the way, help for activity of refugees, and Omnes Gentes, an international group supporting integration of immigrants. The flagship of integration activity is the Start of Chechnya, a folk dance ensemble promoting the Chechnya culture, the members of which are girls from Chechnya. Omnes Gentes, from Latin all nations, is the only voluntary group of such kind in Poland. It was established in 1990 and it operates within the volunteer center in Lublin. The main objective of this group is the reach foreigners living in the Lublin region and include them in voluntary activity through joint planning and realizing of various activities for the local and regional community. Volunteer activity in realizing in many fields. Mostly they are responsible for organizing intercultural meetings which helps the Polish people to meet foreign cultures and offers foreigners as opportunity to present the national cultural wealth. This also supports foreigners in the adaptation to the Polish conditions, facilitates integrations with the Lublin community, and helps to break language barriers, as well as cultural and religious ones. SPURs try to provide foreigners with information about Polish customs and try to make functioning in the Polish reality as possible. The group is multinational, fuse affirming and melting or both of cultures, traditions, and languages. In order to fully understand the sense behind voluntary work as a method of the integration of refugees, it needs to be analyzed in social context. This context, however, over the last 2 years has not been favorable to the reception of refugees. This can be seen in data presented in the chart. The red color indicates an increase in the Polish objection to the reception of refugees beginning from 2015 till now. The migratory crisis, political opinions, and the increased media interest in this theme made the objective scale more than double, from 21 to 27%. Similarly, the number of people supporting the reception of refugees described from 28% and 25%. I talk about it because today, instead of talking about the migratory crisis, we can talk about the solidarity crisis in European Union. It is the ultimate rule that should dominate in the media coverage during European Union summits of discussions, conferences, and debates. However, it is not so. This term has a direct impact on the disgrace and increase of volunteers' interest in helping the refugees. This is evident in the chart that shows the numbers of volunteers in the organization working for the integration of refugees. Up till 2013, we saw a steady increase in the number of volunteers. Yet, beginning from the end of 2012, the time of the migratory crisis, the numbers are lower and lower. Today we have 25 volunteers, and in 2030 the number was 16. Is it quite telling? Quite telling. In our internal research, we asked our volunteers about their motivation for working with refugees. Most of them pointed towards some moral, religious, and political beliefs. Others people have heard that their help will be reciprocated in the future and find satisfaction working with other people. I don't want to go into much details, but I would like to tell about the methods of helping refugees that are used by our organization. First of all, we provide help and assistance to 3 groups of foragers. For those residing in the centers for foragers, at least and mostly children, we developed invited pre-integration methods, which aim in making of children feel at home as much as is possible. What should be mentioned is the diversity of continuity of the methods. Whether where they are financed by the European Union or not, they are carried out on a regular basis, often with the private funds of the association members. Methods of work are developed due to the age of refugees and their predisposition. Working with others requires a different character of help, focusing on assistance, yet allowing them to have a lot of autonomy in making decisions. Voluntary activity is often of the complementary character to the work offered by some institution on social help. This way, the standard of help offered to the refugees is ever higher. Relationship between people and intimate spur and meeting offers to refugees something that they have been deprived of: dignity. Dignity is the foundation of trust, friendship, normal relationship, which are maintained even outside the countries. When the refugees have to copy translate within the Polish society. We are with them, but we want them to be autonomous, and we want them to look for some space of integration with society. The ever-growing number of refugees living in the city and the region on their own is a challenge for us to prepare on the other side the local citizens for such a contact. This is why to take some multi-sector activity to raise the social advances of a presence of refugees in Lublin. It can take various forms. For example, through some open-air events, open days, intercultural meetings, but mostly through reaching to those who can shape of public opinion. It is politicians and journalists. Our flagship activity is the organization of social campaigns and informatory actions. Our organization, in cooperation with a local radio station, started to broadcast the first program in the history of Poland that would be fully prepared by refugees, mostly Muslims, refugees from Chechnya. The title of the program, Because I'm Stranger, is one of the most popular programs on the air of a Catholic radio station. To sum up, Why does Europe need social involvement in helping refugees, and why voluntary work is the solution? Voluntary activity is less formal than help offered by some bureaucratic institutions, and therefore it's more effective. It offers a chance for direct contact and getting to know the real needs of refugees. It changes the perspective of looking at the issue of refugees and work on the basis of face-to-face relationships. And most of all, voluntary work is apolitical, does not depend on the rulings of a given party. Let me also present you our charts showing a steady increase in the significance of volunteers in the world of organization. I believe it is a common trend across Europe. It would be nice to make use of this potential and channel it in a good direction. Finally, I would like to offer another thought. The migratory crisis and waves of migrants do not have to pose problems. Instead, they can offer chances to development. However, this requires a faces integration policy, which is not present in the European Union and Poland. The burden of integration lists of self-government and non-governmental organizations. They need to be provided with clear guidelines when it comes to integration policy. Self-governments need to know how, who and why to integrate. It is the state authorities that are responsible for developing an integration policy. Each crisis is a chance for cleansing, a chance for fairness and stand on intentions. I believe that this conference was also such a chance. Yeah. Thank you for your attention. Sorry for my English. My first foreign language is German. I will need to ask Dominic to help me translation during the discussion section. Thank you for your attention.
Are there any questions? Okay. There is a question for you.
Ονομάζομαι Αθανασίου, είμαι αντιδήματος του Δήμου Νέας Μήνης. Repeat. Ονομάζομαι Αθανασίου, είμαι αντιδήματος στο Δήμο Νέας Μήνης και το ερώτημα μετά από αυτή την ανάλυση που για πραγματικά περιγραφική για την πλήν θέση σας γύρω από το θέμα μεταναστών και προσφύγων, το πρώτο ερώτημα είναι πώς διαχωρίζουμε. Και ήταν και ερώτημα γενικά στους ομιλητές, τους εξαίρετους ομιλητές που ήταν σήμερα, πώς θα διαχωρίζεται το μεταναστευτικό από το προσφυγικό. Δηλαδή η ταύτιση ή η ροή των μεταναστών και των προσφύγων, πώς διαχωρίζονται αυτά, ποια είναι τα όρια που πρέπει. Εμείς εδώ σαν Δήμος και με την πρωτοβουλία του κ. Ζαβού, είχαμε δημιουργήσει μια ομάδα μεταναστών για την μελέτη των μεταναστών, η οποία προηγήθηκε στην πόλη μας και στην πόλη μας. Είχαν τέτοια προβλήματα μεταναστών. Βέβαια, στην προέκταση ήρθε και το προσφυγικό, το οποίο πράγματι συναρτάται και με το μεταναστευτικό. Είχαμε χαράξει πολύ καλή πορεία για τους μετανάστες, με τη συμμετοχή μάλιστα και μεταναστών σε αυτή την ομάδα εργασίας. Και ήταν μια ομάδα η οποία ήταν από όλα τα χρώματα, τα πολιτικά και τα κοινωνικά. Βέβαια, το προσφυγικό μας πρόλαβε και αλλάξαμε ίσως τη σκέψη και τον προβληματισμό μας. Το ερώτημα λοιπόν που βάζω είναι, πρώτον, πώς διαχωρίζουμε αυτούς τους μετανάστες, οι οποίοι όπως και σε εσάς στην Πλήν, ας πούμε, είχαν προηγηθεί σε σύγκριση με το προσφυγικό. Και το θέμα είναι ότι με την ροή της προσφυγιάς είδαμε και την αντίδραση του λαού, των ανατολικών ορίων της Πολωνίας, όπως μας τους περιγράψει. Το θέμα λοιπόν με έμει πάντοτε ο διαχωρισμός αυτός και πώς μπορούμε οι ομάδες αυτές να μην συγχέουν το μεταναστευτικό με το προσφυγικό ή, εν πάση περιπτώσει, αν υπάρχει μια ταύτιση, να χαράσουμε μια κοινή πολιτική σε διαδημοτικό ή σε δημοτικό πλαίσιο. Και το δεύτερο θέμα που ερώτημα που βάζω είναι πώς αυτές οι δράσεις είναι από κυβερνητικό πλαίσιο ή είναι μέσα στο Δήμο σας, όπως εμείς έχουμε πραγματικά αναπτύξει μια μεγάλη κατηγορία τόσο των εθελοντών και της αλληλεγγύης, η οποία πράγματι προχωράει με πάρα πολύ καλό ρυθμό στην πόλη μας, έτσι ώστε όπως και ο Δήμαρχος είπε, εμείς δεν έχουμε παιδιά προς Θεού, τα οποία τροφοδοτούμε και με την άλλη ιδιότητα που έχω στα σχολεία. Δίνουμε λεφτά στα κηλικεία για να έχουμε με την συνδρομή των δασκάλων, γιατί αυτοί είναι αυτοί που παίρνουν τα πρώτα ερεθίσματα των παιδιών, να έχουμε πάντοτε να εξασφαλίζουμε με δαπάνες του Δήμου, να εξασφαλίζουμε την τροφή, την καθημερινή, εν πάση περιπτώσει στο πλαίσιο αυτό του κηλικείου ή τα κηλικεία τα οποία έχουμε μέσα στα σχολεία μας. Και κλείνω το ερώτημά μου ότι θα πρέπει σε αυτό το πλαίσιο και εμείς να ενισχυθούμε στις κατευθύνσεις και στις δομές που έχετε κι εσείς, έτσι ώστε να έχουμε το άριστο αποτέλεσμα. Ευχαριστώ.
Jak rozróżniliśmy wraz z edukacją. Zasadniczo nie mamy moralnego prawa oceniać na etapie, jak przyjeżdżają migranci, kto jest migrantem czy uchodźcą.
From the moral perspective, we have no right to distinguish those people if they are migrants or refugees. It doesn't matter.
Czasami w naszym stowarzyszeniu żartujemy, że przydałaby się taka maszyna, taka bramka, przez którą byśmy przepuszczali uchodźców i migrantów. Jakby się pojawiła czerwona, to znaczy, że uchodźca, jak zielona, to że migrant.
Sometimes in our organization we laugh, we joke that we should make a special gate which will show who is a migrant, economic migrant, and who is a refugee.
I dlatego jakby na wstępie nasza organizacja nie zakłada dyskusji na temat, kto jest migrantem czy uchodźcą. Pomagamy po prostu wszystkim, którzy deklarują, że są uchodźcami.
So our organization at the beginning don't even ask or don't distinguish those two types. Everyone who comes and who asks for help and says that he or she is a refugee will get help.
Te decyzje zostawiamy organom państwa, które są do tego przygotowane, służbom, która też ich zadaniem jest decydowana.
There are national and municipal institutions which are prepared and which are responsible for checking the legal status of every person. Okay, I'll answer your second question because at the beginning I tried to briefly show the system of integration in Poland. And as I said before, in Poland we have like a governmental programs provided by municipalities only towards refugees and people with subsidiary protection. So those are people with who are recognized refugees. Let's call them like this. They have international protection. So Poland as a country provides integration programs only for refugees, but also there are local grants, local policies, and we can use as NGOs or municipalities, we can use European funds like AMIF, that's migration fund, to provide help towards all migrants. And as I know, as I cooperate with many NGOs in Warsaw, usually it's a mix. They mix support to refugees and also to other migrants. There is a lot of institutions, maybe not institutions, but NGOs who support people from Ukraine. You have to know that nowadays we have around 400,000 Ukrainians in Poland. Most of them, like 99% of them, are economical migrants. But they can use that support from NGOs, sometimes even from municipalities, which provide special help, special assistance to them. But it's not, let's say, it's not an official governmental program towards economic migrants. There are funds also from the central budget, as I understand, as I know. Which can be moved through the municipalities to support somehow other migrants, to support their cultural existence programs in Poland, in municipalities. So the whole system is a little bit mixed. Are you satisfied with our answer?
Of course.
I speak in English or in Greek? Okay. You understand?
Yes.
So I was very pleased by your discourse, and especially by one point. That you are doing some actions in order to promote the idea that these migration flows are also an opportunity. And this is, I think, a very key question when we see the move of the European public opinion that has been monopolized by xenophobic and racist thoughts about immigrants. We have in Europe, everybody knows, a problem of a population which becomes elder and elder. We have problems in a lot of places outside the cities where we want to concentrate them in concentration camps. But one family of refugees from Syria, which is composed by 2 children or 3 children and 2 parents, can be very helpful in French regions which are depopulated and where the schools are closing, where elderly people need some assistance from somebody and some woman from refugees can help, or they need some strong people to make some works that cannot be done. There are fantastic examples of municipalities in Italy. I know some examples, I don't know if you have in mind them also, which could be promoted. And it's extremely important in the action to change the mood of the people and also to provoke another attitude at political level, but also at the volunteers level, where you have shown that we have a decrease of the voluntary work, to do something in that direction. And maybe we could share these good practices that demonstrate what can bring positive these people from the moment that we know how to integrate them in their interest, but in our interest too.
Powiem tak, że też nasza organizacja stara się studzić emocje wokół teraz kryzysu migracyjnego i ewentualnych liczb uchodźców, którzy mieliby przyjechać do Polski.
Our organization tries to cool down emotions in the society and provide the current data which tells about the number of refugees and migrants which can come to Poland.
Mamy wrażenie, że w Polsce toczy się wojna z jakimś smokiem, którego nie ma.
We think we observed the situation where In Poland there is a fight with a dragon which doesn't exist.
Mówi się o wielu tysiącach uchodźców, którzy mają przyjechać do Polski, o 7 na przykład, których Unia przydzieli. A w zeszłym roku do Polski przyjechało normalnie, legalnie 8 tysięcy takich, którzy starają się o status uchodźcy podczas normalnej procedury.
Usually media or there is let's call it a gossip which tells us about a wave of refugees coming to Poland, that they will take our jobs, our flats, but in reality only 8,000 people came to Poland in normal procedure and they applied for refugee status. I'll add one thing. I had a current data in 2015. 12,300 something people applied for refugee status. It was people who came to Poland, let's say voluntarily, but also people who wanted to reach Germany and other countries and were stopped in Poland. So we have no wave of refugees in Poland.